You are what your record says you are. They are who we thought they were. Hello, you play to win the game. Winning isn't everything, but it's the only thing. Here we go again. It's deja vu all over again. Our mid-season swan dive that's become part and parcel of how we go about our business and the personality of our team. We're now 3-3 after a not unexpected loss as a 10.5-point underdog, which I said was about right. Turns out I kind of underestimated it a little bit. As we lose to Washington 38-19. And we know where we'll be next week when Oregon comes to town for our homecoming game. We will be 3-4. You are what your record says you are. In the famous words of Bill Parcells, we are at best a middling team. I need more I was up late last night. I was going to do a video. I just wasn't up for it. So I'm heavily caffeinated. 0-3 in conference. And when you think about it, it's not even 0-3 against Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, although we'll get there. No worries about that. We're 0-3 against teams that are kind of above average or maybe slightly above average or average. Minnesota, Iowa, and Washington's a good team. Not elite, but good. Washington was what I said they were. They're not consistently productive throughout the game, running up and down the field all the time, but they're explosive, and the plays can come in bunches. It did against Maryland, it did against us, and it fared out again. Which was odd because we got off to a good start. I think our first three, they missed a field goal on their first series. So the first 4 series, when you looked at the defense, you were like, maybe the bye week, there's something to this. And we made some plays, made some stops. Damon Williams was not great early, made some plays. But we got some stops. I think we had a couple sacks. But Rutgers being Rutgers is going to Rutgers. And coming out in the second half, where they scored 3 touchdowns in 6 minutes. We get outcoached in the third quarter like every game. Outcoached, outplayed. It's unbelievable. I'm like, what is that? They have, even though, Washington gave up some yards to us, a lot of empty yards, their defense is better. Made plays when they had to. And coach says it after every game. We'll get there. We'll get there. These are good guys. They play for each other. Good coaches. They feel bad right now. Coach, hello. As Herm Edwards says, you play to win the game. Not about process and incrementalism, and we'll get there. Do something. Beat somebody. Incrementalism isn't working. It's 6 years in. Jed Fish, Livingston, New Jersey native, takes over a one-win Arizona team, and in the third year, he's got a 10-3 and beating Oklahoma in a bowl game. I know Coach likes to say, people don't want to hear it. That's why. And the same Jed Fish goes to Washington, which has really no recruiting advantages whatsoever. And they run us off the field. They really ran us off the field 2 years in a row, but they made the mistakes last year, a couple plays, and coach after the game last night tried to say, oh, the difference between last year and this year, a couple of plays, they worked out for them. They're running us off the field. We have no answers. We got lucky last year. We can't have nice things. And coach keeps saying, well, it's life in the Big Ten. To say, you know what? I know you really wanted this. Maybe we shouldn't be in a Big Ten. We shouldn't. We never get there. We have to hope for someone else in the Big Ten to be really bad so we can beat them, but then they wind up getting better in no time flat, and they wind up surpassing us. So we're left with barely beating Ohio, beating Miami of Ohio, Norfolk. Oh, who cares? Seriously, who cares? That being said, we had opportunities. Play well at times. Like I said, we started off on defense and oh, okay. Maybe the adjustments will stick and hold. But as coach said, we're inconsistent. And he's right on that account. Whether it's moving the ball and scoring early until we don't score anymore, and we still kind of move the ball, but we don't make the plays. We have the penalties, untimely mistakes. Special teams lapses on the kickoff. There's another field goal. Jai Patel, after hitting 16 in a row, has missed 4 out of the past 6. Coaching decisions, 4th down, situationally, we don't know. I know we were like, whoa, was it 3 for 5 last night? But I just knew we weren't going to hit that 4th down. Where were we? Like inside the 10 against Washington, and tip pass to Antoine. Just take the points. Whether Virginia Tech, we make the wrong decisions on kicking the field goal, punting, yada yada yada. We've made some 4th down, but we seem to make critical mistakes on deciding to go for it on 4th down. So yes, it's coaching. And coach said the coaches, once again, have to do a better job. He says the right things. He looked kind of flustered, not in an agitated way, but actually maybe he was a little agitated. He just looked like he was forlorn in his post-game press conference. Ethan has his ups and downs. One minute he looks like the guy you thought he could be, and then what do you have? 3 tip passes last night. 3 tip passes. We'll bat it down. Moves the ball between the 20s, struggles in the red zone, and the guys at the night report were talking about this. What are we doing schematically in the red zone that we can't score easily with a 6'3", 6'4" wide receiver and a 6'6" wide receiver, and a running back who's a playmaker? By the way, another great game by Antoine. What do you have? 178 total yards, including that first drive. To reaffirm what we were talking about, we get off to a good start. Who would have had on their bingo card that we scored in less than 2 minutes on the opening drive against Washington? 51-yard run by Antoine, another 4, 5, 6-yard run, 20-yard touchdown by KJ Duff. Offensive line at times, Ethan has time to throw, which kind of worries me sometimes. But we've given up 3 sacks for the 5th game in a row. It always seems like it's at a bad time, too, 3rd down. A lot of stuff to work on, a lot of bad stuff. There's some stuff that we've seen throughout the past few games where we move the ball. Like we did on the first drive. KJ with a great contested catch, Antoine with the run. But Rutgers being Rutgers, you have a feeling that Washington was going to come make some plays, and they did. They get the ball after the kickoff. I think there was a penalty at the 8-yard line. Boom, Damon Williams, 41 yards, 12-yard pass. Okay, here we go. Start order off nicely, but yeah, that's not going to last. Coleman, who kept in check. What do you have? 14 for 44. That's pretty good stuff. I think he had 1 catch for 20 yards. He gets a few yards. Pressure by O'Neal and Abram Wright. And then Gross misses a 39-yard field goal. Maybe the ball is going to bounce our way again. Like last year, where Washington missed a couple of field goals, which helped us get that win. We get the ball back. We're moving the ball again. Okay. Got a couple rushes, defensive penalty, 24-yard pass to Ian. Jay Sean gets a 6-yard pass. 17-yard run by Antoine. This Washington defense looks a little bit vulnerable. Then again, we got to remember Maryland in the first half. Weber gets a 4-yard pass. Ethan flushed out of the pocket. All right, it's 4th down. And Jai attempts a field goal. 35, 36, 37-yarder. What's going to happen with Jai? He hits it. Hits it down the middle. 10-0. Maryland Redux. Yeah, it kind of worked out that way, actually. So we kick the ball off. Washington gets another penalty. They had like 9 penalties. We only had 4. So they're like at the 12-yard line. We stop a couple short runs. We get a sack. We sack Damon Williams a couple times early. And you're thinking, okay, maybe he'll make some plays. But are we going to be able to manage him? Yeah, maybe statistically he'll have some yards, make some plays, but we'll get the best of it. Maybe. We stopped him. Terrible punt. It's like a 27-yard punt. We're deep in Washington territory. You're thinking, okay, get the killer instinct. Don't mess around. Make this a 17-0 game. And even for Washington, when you put the stress on them to have to force plays and make plays, this is a good spot to be in. So, of course, we run to Antoine, we get a yard. But your drop. Four-yard pass to DT. Kind of he should have cut it inside instead of trying to run back and circle around. Now it's a 45-yard field goal attempt. And now we're not feeling so good about this. You had an opportunity. This is what distinguishes bad teams, some good teams. Washington would have stuck it down their throat and put it in the end zone. We have 3 plays, we get like 4 or 5 yards. And of course, Jai misses the 45-yard field goal. And it wasn't close, wide right. So special teams continues to not be special. We had a penalty on a kickoff, missed field goals. We don't finish drives. What were we in the red zone 6 times? We came away with 6 points, 13 points, whatever the hell it was. Washington gets the ball back. Okay, let's hope the dam doesn't break. Make some plays on defense. Coleman gets a stuff. Boston's covered by, I think, Cam Miller on the sideline. Washington has to punt. We get it at the 3. First play, Ethan almost throws a pick. Not a good throw. Now we get 3 yards to Antoine. We got to punt it. Not a good series. Washington gets it at the 50, and you knew that they were going to score, and they did. I think it took all of three plays. Now we get the ball back, and Ethan scrambles, loses 3 yards, gets a big play to Ian for 17 yards. We had the most awkward, dropped, stumbled screen pass ever. For some reason, it's not in our DNA to complete a screen pass. But DT gets an 11-yard pass. We were fortunate on this drive that we got an interference call. And that was the thing about this game. Washington made some penalties. We got a couple calls that kind of went our way. And we still couldn't pull out a win. One of those plays that DT fumbles at Washington's 8-yard line and it was overturned. And eventually, this is where we go for it on 4th down, and we have a tip deflective batted pass that's incomplete. And I felt at the time that, I get you're on the road, you want to stick it in the end zone, but you have to understand your success rate against these kind of teams and situational football, wherein you convert, don't convert, make the play, don't make the play. We probably should have had 6, maybe more, 10 points, another 10 points at that point, missed field goal. I think Antoine was kind of open out on the flat like that, but you still have to execute. Washington gets the ball back. Of course, they march right down the field, but we get another break. We make a play on defense. Jabome gets a fumble deep in Washington territory. We're at the 3-yard line. There's a couple minutes left in the first half. And you're like, okay, please just don't make a mistake. Nathan makes a throw off his back foot. 34 yards to Ian. That was a great play by the quarterback and the wide receiver, although, it wasn't a thing of beauty, but they executed and got it done. Then we get a 41-yard pass to DT. Like, wait, are we going to march 97 yards down the field and get a score? This can be, at the time I was thinking, this could be the drive of the year. If we score a touchdown here, we wind up winning the game. This drive will be called the drive in Rutgers world. We get to the 11-yard line. Ethan drops back for pass, slips. His knee was down. They call it an incomplete pass, but his knee was down. It's a sack, of course. We get the sack at the worst possible times. Could have been an epic drive, but we get a 35-yard field goal. We're up 13-7 at half. 4 trips into the red zone. In the first half, 13 points. The halftime statistically close. Washington 290 yards. We had 286. You looked at the box score, you would have thought, hey, this was a good game. You wouldn't have thought that we lost by more than 3 scores. First downs, 26-25 Washington. We had just under 500, in between the 20 yards. Washington, once again, they had like 570. We had more plays. Washington, as we talked about, more explosive, big plays. Yards per pass is where the difference was. They averaged 14 yards per pass. We averaged 7. That's your incremental offense, coach. Ethan was 31 of 50 for 386 yards. And if you're throwing it 50, 51 times, that's not a recipe for winning for us. And in the second half, of course, Washington comes out. 12-yard pass, 59-yard pass. 1-yard touchdown. Less than 2 minutes, they score. I don't know what goes on in the Rutgers locker room at halftime, but clearly it's not working. I don't even know what to say anymore. Washington, we get the ball back. We don't do anything with it. Washington gets it back. 38-yard touchdown to Denzel Boston on Bo Mascow. Mascow was turning around like he was looking for something, but clearly he would just beat. We get the ball back. Okay, we're not rolling over. Best play of the series was a 48-yard wheel route to Antoine. We answer, fail on 2-point conversion, 24-19. Okay, you're still in it. But Washington gets the ball back, and they do what they do, and they get a quick strike. Coleman 1-yard run, 31-19. And then in the fourth quarter, they score another touchdown, 38. It seems we have to be perfect in order to win a game. Newsflash, this is an imperfect team in many ways. Finishing a drive, untimely penalty, special teams, 6 times in the red zone, and you get 13 points. You play well defensively for a series, then you play really bad defensively for a series. Rob Smith came out, had a few stops, first few series, held Washington to 10 points. But then we allowed Damon Williams to be one of 16 quarterbacks in history to have 400 yards passing and 100 yards rushing. And they score on their first 4 drives of the second half, 301 yards and a half. And this was a quote from Damon Williams. I was just taking what the defense gave me. It wasn't that they schemed their way to some sort of genius offense. You could tell their main focus was on Jonah. So being able to pull some of those zone reads and just getting many yards as I could because they gave it to him was pivotal. Essentially, Rob Smith is Shane Bowen and he's Steve Wilkes, Giants and Jets defensive coordinator. This soft man, soft zone coverage that just gives up way too much yardage and big plays. Denzel Boston had 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay, you expect that from him, but Desmond Robach had 4 passes, 108 yards. And another career day for an opposing quarterback. In the Big Ten, we talk about our big offense this year. We're averaging about 24 points. We're giving up 38 points. So maybe we should just go to the MAC and we can be top dog in the MAC. Beat those teams and get to a bowl game. Maybe we can knock somebody good off. So where are we? We know where we're at. Every game, not Penn State, Oregon, and Ohio State, is a must-win. Purdue, Maryland, Illinois. Talked about how I like our chances against Illinois better than Maryland. What's frustrating is that we've had our best offensive years. We have a quarterback for the first time in 10, 11 years. We have the best wide receivers we've had in 15, maybe 20 years. We seem to have been able to replace Antoine, although he doesn't get those tough yards, grinded out, demoralize the defense kind of yards. He's pretty explosive. 89 yards rushing, 89 yards receiving. Ian had 7 catches, 124 yards. And we still suck. We're still where we've always been. Can't beat the good and elite teams. We beat the bad teams, and our peers and the middling teams we struggle with. This is who we are. We're stuck here, spinning our wheels in the sand. I don't know how, when, or if we're going to get there, like Coach keeps talking about. But even as the money increases, the talent, the highly rated classes get better, we still are no good. Defensively, this team, Mike from the Night Report, I've been thinking about this, talking a little bit. What happened to Josh Sanders, big recruit? He's really struggling. Cam Miller not playing the way that we thought he might be able to. Jacoby Henderson, I don't know if it's roster construction scheme. You know what it is? I think it's scheme. Other teams that aren't as talented as us just do better. And if we're looking at potential matchups, Maryland, the way they played Washington versus the way we played Washington, game I'll be watching today is Illinois versus Ohio State to see how Illinois matches up. Because to get to a bowl game, we absolutely, short of being Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, which won't happen, we have to beat Illinois. So I'll be watching that game closely. Don't even know what to say anymore. These things are just, it's not even fun. Can we just get, for once, a decent win? Not in the cards, not in our DNA. Maybe we'll follow up with some Big Ten or college football recap this weekend. Nonetheless, everybody, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Those of you along the Jersey Shore, down the Jersey coast, South Jersey, watch out for the nor'easter, and we'll see you the next time.